Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to my channel. Uh, I, I will I will I will introduce. I will explain about the how does starter how does a starter motor work. When you turn the key in your car ignition, the engines turn over and then cranks. However, getting it to crank is actually much more involved than you may think. It requires a flow of air into the engines, which can only be achieved by crashing succession. The engine does this when it does open. If your engine is not turning, there there is no air means that volcans combust. The starter motor is responsible for turning the engine over during ignition and allowing everything else to happen. How your starter works? Your starter is really an electric motor. It engages once you turn the ignition to run and turns the engine over, allowing it to stock in air. On the engine, a flags or flywheels, flags or flywheels, uh, which which are which are ring gear around the edge. It's attached to the ends of the crankshaft. On the starters, there's a gear designed needs to fit into the grooves of the ring gear. The starter gear is called a pinion gear. When you turn the ignition switch, the starter motor is energized, and the electromagnets inside the body engage. This passes on a rod to which the pinion gear is attached. The gear meets the flywheel and the starter turns. This spins the engine over, sucking in air as well as fuel. At the same time, electricity itself draws the spark plug to the plugs. Ignition, the fall in the combustion chamber. As the engine turns over, the starter descends, and the electromagnet stops. The rods retract on into the starter on march, taking the pinion gear out of contact with the flywheel and preventing damage. If the pinion gear remains in contact with the flywheel, it's possible that the engines will spin the starter too fast, causing damage to it. Next step: schedule car is not starting inspection. The most popular service booked by readers of the article is car is not starting inspection. Your mechanics your technician bring the dealership to you by performing this job at your home or office 7 days a week between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. or cover over one 1000 GTs and have to 1000 plus plus 5-star reviews. Uh, how a diagnostic works. Car is not starting inspection service. A car that failed to start a rare occurrence in this act or greatly improve efficiency and reliability. Both its style have been occasionally, and the advanced electronic the technologies that have the car have also made the job of roadside diagnosis difficult, if not impossible, for even reasonable handy owners. On of expert mobile mechanic can provide expeditious diagnosis and provide and cure for any necessary repairs. Common reason for this to happen: if the engine cranks, but the car does not start, but full pump. At full pump will not deliver for the engines, even you just fill up. But spark plugs, without hot spark to ignition full tanks in each cylinder, there is no combustion and no expansion of the burning mixture. Thus, the engine will not start. But timing belts, if the timing belt strikes off brakes, the engine will not run. Moreover, continuing to crank the engine may bring the valve into contact with the piston, causing serious engine damage. Bad ignition coils. Without a functional coil to step off the voltage, there can be no spark. No spark means no start. Faulty cam or crank sensor. If the sensor are faulty, the wheel for no information to the ignition system or will prevent incorrect data. Either way, the engine will not fire if nothing happens after you turn the key. Bad battery of terminals. Batteries have a finite lifespan and terminal can loosen or correct. Bad start. This solves a issue from the response the key. If nothing happens at all when you turn the key, the starter may have reached the end of its life. Ignition problems. This called due the faulty contacts in the ignition switch or in the wiring. If the engraving knows when you're there, the key starter is bad. Do not persist in cranking the engines. What do expect? A top-rated mobile mechanic will come to your home or office to determine the source and cause of your car failure to start, and will then provide a detailed inspection report that includes the scope and cost of necessary repairs. How it's done? The mechanic will check the ignition system, fuel system, and charging system, and the lock for any mechanical damage. The mechanic may also try an alternative fuel source, like a quick shot of brake or carburetor cleaner into the throttle body, or a quick shot of liquid fuel via vacuum line. If the car starts momentarily and then this, that indicates that you have a fault delivery issue. How important is this service? It goes without saying that a non-starter car is an important issue to address. Do not ignore or abandon the car if it's not starting. This is an issue that should be dealt with promptly. Book a mechanic. Book a mechanic to perform the truck inspection as soon as possible. Thanks and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.